All right. Hello, everybody. Let's bring in Magic. Magic, how are you?
Not bad, not bad. Just interested to see if Tesla's going to raise capital.
Why would Tesla raise capital? They have $30 billion in cash.
There was a note out by Bank of America this morning that hinted that they might want to raise capital for Optimus. So
Mm. All right. Do you have a link to this note? Is it on your profile?
let me pull it up. I can pull it up really quick, and then I'll send it over to you. But yeah, I mean, what would you say? My big position is they're not as liquid as they say on their balance sheet. So what would you say with an equity raise? Would that confirm that, or would that hint towards evidence that that is the case, or no?
No. And here's why. Um, so I used to be an auditor at a big four firm, and cash is the easiest thing to audit. By far the easiest. All you got to do is get bank statements and verify the accounts. And you actually call the banks almost directly. I mean, at least we did. So I have high confidence in PwC's ability to audit cash accounts, for crying out loud. Come on.
No, I mean, I used to be an auditor as well. I'm not saying that the cash on the balance sheet is not real. I'm saying that they're not as what's it called, solvent, as they're saying. Okay, which means their liabilities may be higher. That means that some of the short-term investments may or may not be as liquid as stated. So I'm not saying that the actual cash balance is cash plus short term. And
Well,
I'm saying
we have the composition of the cash equivalents in the 10Q and 10K.
not just the cash equivalents, the short-term investments, anything that's
We
cash
have that
or near
too.
cash.
We have all that as well. I
And we
mean,
don't
as
know how.
soon as long as they are as long as they are cash equivalents and short-term investments classified in current assets, they have to be less than 1 year maturity. I mean, what can you imagine that has less than 1 year maturity that is not liquid?
Corporate paper for a company in China. I mean, we don't know. We don't know the
Oh,
specifics, right?
come on. You think Tesla's investing in some Me Too EV company like Neo? You think Tesla's investing in some Neo notes? Not even notes, corporate paper. Can I ask you something? So I just saw on your profile that you reposted an account under the name James Chanos, the real Jim Chanos. Is that the real Jim Chanos, really?
That is, yeah.
What about the other account that people used to say that was him?
Uh, Dionysus,
Yeah,
Diogenesis. I,
yeah,
I don't.
exactly,
I don't
exactly.
know. Maybe he got. Maybe I'm not sure. But it's. I mean, I haven't seen him in person, but everybody's kind of on board that that is him. So
Yeah, and everybody was on board that the other account was him too. Like,
yeah. So
Why would he all of a sudden come out under his own name?
I'm not sure.
He closed his short fund, right?
Yeah, he closed. He closed. I think he closed his hedge fund. I believe so.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, this is the most difficult time to be a short seller in history. So
Mm, you think so?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, arguably, I don't know about the top three, probably for sure.
What makes you say that? What makes today the worst time or top three time to be a short?
Leveraged ETFs on the long side, a ton of zero dated options, retail with access to a ton of leverage on the long side. Everybody can get in the pool really, really fast, and information spreads really quickly. Everything becomes a meme. So before in 1999, it was a lot harder to trade. Even if you did have like an internet stock, you'd have to call your broker and go do that. I mean, here we move at insane, like an insane pace. Everybody can buy a stock extremely quickly, and it's pretty much turned into a casino. I mean, 1999 was a casino, but this is people. They don't sports gamble; they gamble on stocks, right? So the technology kind of made this a lot more volatile and quicker, and leads to things moving way faster.
I don't know. I mean, are you seeing more short squeezes today than say in 1999?
I mean, I wasn't around 1999, but yeah, I would think it's just harder and faster. I mean, people we have this culture that I don't think short sellers have ever been this hated in history. Where I look at people and they only care about squeezing shorts. They don't care if they lose money. It's like they're doing a kamikaze pilot. They're just putting their capital against shorts, and most of the time they lose money too, but they don't care. It's all about killing the short seller.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't really see it as this is the most difficult time, like you said, to be a short seller. But who knows? Maybe you're right. So you said you weren't around in 1999. When did you start investing?
Professionally for about 8 years,
What about before that, personally?
2012.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I thought you were older.
No, I'm 30.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you're young. Okay. Um. All right. So you said Bank of America. Did you find that Bank of America note that says Tesla may raise capital?
Do you want me to put it on the jumbotron, or where do you want it?
Yeah, just put it up there in the
Uh,
pin tweet. We have a question in live chat for you, Magic. Were you an auditor for Enron?
no, I mean,
I think
but
you were like a baby at that point, right? I mean, that was
yeah,
like
yeah,
1999, 2024, 25, 26 years ago,
no, no,
and you're
but
30. You're a
but
baby. He's a toddler, Kevin.
yes, but again, I had I've spoken, I've had what's it called? The CFO of Enron came and spoke at an event that I went to. The ex CFO, the one that was in jail, Andy Fastow. So I've met
Okay.
him personally. I've taken extreme amount of accounting ethics classes where you just pretty much review accounting fraud over and over and over and over and over again. So you know, I was an ex auditor as well, so I understand the accounting side. I understand the accounting fraud side. So
There's a certification for that. So you're telling me you did that certification, basically.
the fraud examiner?
Yeah.
No, I didn't get this. I'm just the standard one.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
What was the question? Oh, about the Enron thing. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Well, do you want to share? Were you a Big Four auditor? I mean, I don't really care if you don't, if
Yeah,
you want to
yeah.
share.
I was
You
a
are.
big fraud. I was, yeah.
Do you want to share which one?
Not because it'll pin me down, but one of them.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, but yeah,
Really interesting stuff.
yeah, and then turned investor. So I understand. I've audited cash balances as well, but I also, from being an auditor, you understand that a lot of things are at management discretion, and you pick your battles. So as you would
Not
know that as
cash.
well.
Not cash.
Not saying that again. I'm not saying
Right.
cash. I'm just saying a lot of
Right.
things are more gray and harder. People, all right. Financial statement, and you think everything is 100% correct. You don't understand how much judgment is based on those numbers, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly right. That's exactly right. Um, Give me 1 second. Magic. Okay, I see it now. Thank you. So this is from Motorhead. Classic. Man, Motorhead goes way back, all the way back to 20. I don't know when he started writing, but I remember him from Seeking Alpha days. So at least 2016. Crazy. All right, so let's see this note here. So the note is at the top of our screens by Motorhead. I'm going to put this on YouTube so you all can follow it there as well. And I'm going to remove the banner. There we go. So if you're watching this YouTube, this is on your screens. If you're on X, it's in the pinned tweet. So let's read this. A few things about Bank of America's Tesla report out this AM. They totally ate up all the Tesla propaganda. IR fed them. Example, FSD reaching 10,000 miles without intervention. Optimus working on production lines in 12 months, etc. But using Optimus as a reason for an equity raise is idiotic. So let's read this note. This is from Bank of America. Is this a thread that he has? Yeah, he has a thread. 343. So let me just go on to the second one. Actually, no. Let's read this in the first tweet. Bank of America note. Significant progress on FSD Sports 25 robotaxi launch. Tesla showcased the capabilities of FSD, which were impressive and much improved from prior versions. The Cybertruck and Model Y we rode in were equipped with versions 12.5 and 13.2 and drove seamlessly to a charging station several miles away, despite abnormal road conditions. Traveling on roads under construction and taking a tough left turn against traffic. Tesla noted that soon its FSD will require an intervention only once every 10,000 miles, suggesting the capabilities are near the point at which it could be safely launch the robotaxi business monitored. Okay. As a point of reference, Waymo's robotaxi service operated before getting to one intervention every 17,000 miles, a milestone Tesla believes it could achieve shortly with its growing AI compute. 50,000 H100 chips were installed and active at the end of October. Optimus is real and development poised to accelerate. Optimus is currently used by Tesla to sort 4680 cells with no intervention. Tesla is testing Optimus in various use cases, catching a tennis ball to refine the robot and determine a final design. Tesla currently plans to have 1,000 Optimus robots by the end of 2025, largely in its plants. With more robots in use, training will accelerate. Optimus accounts for only a single-digit percentage of Tesla's compute, but we expect the resources available for Optimus will grow as robotaxi technology matures. This will drive an acceleration in the capabilities of Optimus and ultimately lead to increased production in 2026 plus, thereby helping drive costs down. The Optimus opportunity and others could potentially benefit from more capital via an equity raise to fund greater compute capacity, which we believe would be welcomed by most Tesla investors. We discuss new products and other points below. Wow. Hold on. Let me just read that sentence again, Ian. The Optimus opportunity and others could potentially benefit from more capital via an equity raise to fund greater compute capacity. Yeah. Wow. That is kind of wild. Um, that's really amazing. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying is that if he did have $30 billion in cash, which I'm not saying he does it, I'm saying he has a ton of liabilities plus some of the cash is in China. We don't know what the breakdown is. If he was as liquid as he would be saying, then he wouldn't necessarily raise capital for this.
Well, I mean, that's not necessarily true because we talked in here many times now. Right? This is my view that Tesla will need probably around the order of magnitude of $100 billion, close to $100 billion order of magnitude to build the training capacity necessary for robotaxi level reliability. And currently, they're spending about $1 billion a quarter, so a couple $1 billion a year. And so they're going to have to increase that spend by an order of magnitude at a minimum, in my opinion. So we're talking tens of billions of dollars, probably closer to $100 billion. And so I wouldn't, I think it's possible that they might do that. It's possible that Tesla may raise capital. Yeah. I didn't think so a couple of years ago, But then as soon as ChatGPT took off and people started paying more attention, and I started paying more attention to how much money is necessary on building training capacity, then I kind of, and you do the back of the envelope calculation, they're going to need a lot more money. Um, but honestly, like it would be, Tesla's business is profitable, right? They're generating several $billion a year of free cash flow. And even if, let's say, for example, Elon bought $100 billion of GPUs from NVIDIA, which obviously is not even deliverable today. But let's say hypothetically that he was able to do that, you wouldn't be able to get the other pieces necessary, like hardware 5, hardware 6, immediately into your cars, into the production line, and also collect all the edge cases that you need. Like you need some time to even discover some of these edge cases in the future. So, or you may need some algorithmic advances. The training process needs to be iterative too. Like you have to do these dot updates, minor updates, not only just major updates. So these three pieces, if you listen to Sam Altman's interview with the Deal Book and Julie Ross Sorkin, he talks about how there are three pillars: uh, compute, data, and algorithms. And you have to push on all three simultaneously, which is what we've been discussing here throughout 2024. So I think it's possible that they may raise capital just because these things cost so much, but I also don't think it's likely. What do you think?
I think they have to raise capital. I think they're running out of cash, and I think that again, just like Musk has a typical, every one of his ventures always needs capital. That's why we're always skeptical, because that's everything is always far in advance, and they always need to raise capital. I can have a list of every single time, and he works closely with the sell side research to publish something, and then shortly after he raises capital. This is a common occurrence. So he works very closely with the sell side and some of the banks to win their business. The banks kind of give them favorable, sell side research reports, and then shortly after they underwrite some capital raise. So this is classic Elon Musk playbook. If you're paying attention to that side.
Okay. So how much and when do you think Tesla will raise capital, equity capital?
I mean, they should do it as soon as possible. I think you're going to see in the next week, probably.
You think in the next week Tesla will raise equity capital? Bullshit. Come on.
Equity capital, yeah, in the next few weeks, I believe so.
In the next few weeks. Okay. So right now it's beginning of December. You said next week, and let's switch to the next few weeks. Do you want to bet by year end whether Tesla will raise capital or not? Equity capital, not debt capital. Okay.
Equity capital, yeah, that's what we're talking about. Equity capital. No, I mean,
Okay.
I mean, let's do it in a week. Gentleman's bet, 2 weeks, or the end of the year. Gentleman's bet.
Yeah. End of the year. Coffee
Yeah.
bet. Gentleman's bet. Same thing.
All right.
All right. Let me write this down. What's your? Let me see your alias. Magic Berry Inc. Okay. And I'm the no side. Cool. Thank you. I really appreciate that you are open to, like some people are just so fucking anal about these things. I know it's coffee bets. Oh, it has to be worded this way. It has to be worded that way. It has to be like, there needs to be a comma there. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Okay. Let's continue with this. Actually, we have a speaker real quick request and speak. Let's see what he has to say first. And then we're going to continue with the note at the top of our screens. Carlos? Carlos, you have to unmute yourself for us to hear you.
Yaman, are you still short Tesla or your opinion has changed?
Yeah, I think like my price target on Tesla right now is $200 per share. $600 billion market cap. So that's a 50% drop from here. I also don't recommend people follow me because shorting is dangerous. You can get squeezed out. Um, put options even have high volatility. There's other methods. They all have their pros and cons. Shorting is an incredibly dangerous game, especially during the time when there's so much animal spirits running. You're seeing stocks volatility rising. Um, there's overnight trading in some stocks. Tesla can drop news. There's so many things. It's also a very highly manipulated stock by various parties. I do not recommend people follow me into shorting Tesla, but just because you asked, yes, I am still short. All right. Okay. Next page in this Bank of America note. Let's continue. Motorhead says, note that Tesla IR pumped FSD. Hold on, we have another speaker. Chris,
Hey, Aaron. I'm just curious to know, would you clarify what short position you have?
what do you mean?
Well, what did you buy? So you bought a put, like what specific price points?
Why do you want to know that?
Just out of curiosity. I mean, you're saying you're short, so I'm you say it's to 200? I mean, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, price target 200.
Price target 200. Interesting. With what expiration date?
Yeah, why do you have to know that detail? Just because you're curious?
No, because because if you're looking at this from a financial position, like I think it would be interesting to know, like, if you're thinking short term or long term.
I mean, I clarified that in the longer term, Tesla will be fine.
So it's a short. Okay, got it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there are various reasons why I don't really disclose the exact details of these things. Really, the only reason I'm letting people know is that you should be aware if you're coming to this space that there might be a bias, one side or the other. And I always try to limit my biases. I think I've been doing a better job of that in 2024 than in previous years. But I think people should be aware of if somebody's invested one side or the other of a stock that they're talking about. But the exact details of it is my private business, and I don't think anybody has a right to it. Especially, um, this is free and open for everybody. I have no idea who's listening, you know, and I don't owe it to anybody either. So um, it's on you if you want to follow me into it. Don't. And there are other reasons why people might be asking for that too. So I'd rather talk about the fundamentals of the business. Do you have anything to say about that, Chris?
Quite frankly, I think the fundamentals. I mean, I understand your position there, but with everything that is happening, from a fundamental point of view, I really believe the Q4 numbers are going to be significant. I personally believe that they are going to increase a lot because of this tax credit that people will want to get in this year before next year happens. That is my current feeling of it.
Yeah. And I don't think that's going to be material. I think everyone's expecting that. Not only do I think the impact near term upward pressure on deliveries will be even lower than the bulls expect, but even if it was as high or even more, I don't think that's a significant enough factor to move a $1.1 trillion company in a significant way. Yeah, I get this question a million times a day now, which is kind of crazy, you know? Like people are demanding, show us the details. Like, why? And who are you? I've never seen you before in my life. I'm not talking about you, Chris, but like most of these people that reply on their anonymous accounts, by the way, that's like the even better part of it is that these anonymous accounts are demanding it. I'm like, you don't even share your own fucking name. Anyway, Magic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna, say that this individual wants to know exactly where your put is, or, um, because he wants to go long it and kind of monkey wrench it, but it's not out of the question. I wouldn't necessarily disclose the exact price point and expiration date, because you can get a group of monkeys to go in there and buy calls, to just monkey. That's what I'm telling you. It's not even about what makes sense to me as a long investor. It's, short seller, let me just ruin his life. I'll light my money on fire just to make sure he doesn't make money. And I'm like, okay, well, you're screwing both of us at this point. I mean, you're really like, I don't
maybe
understand.
maybe you know what, yeah, I'm aware of that too, but I don't care. I do my own thing. People can do their own thing, but don't expect. Yeah. Okay. Chris, thank you very much. Let's move on with this note. The second note at the top of our screens by Motherhead. Note that Tesla IR pumped FSD by saying that subscribers grew faster than the number of eligible vehicles. Subscribers grew faster than the number of eligible vehicles. Growth from a base of 0.4 million users usually is faster than from a base of 1.8 million cars. Also, Bank of America thinks that robotaxi day was pulled off without delay in August. All right. New vehicle. So let's read the note from Bank of America now. This in the picture. This is the second of a 3-tweet thread. New vehicles will expand TAM. FSD adoption is increasing. Tesla aims to launch a lower cost vehicle in first half of 2025, which will increase its TAM. The vehicle is projected to cost less than $30,000, including the $7,500 EV credit currently available in the US. The lower bill of materials could come from a number of areas, such as contenting, making the motor more efficient, and thereby enabling a smaller battery. And changing the interior among other possible areas. Wait, hold on a second. So cost less than $30,000, including the credit. But the credit is supposed to be going away. Troy Tesla estimates 90% probability that the US EV tax credit will go away. And he also has a thread that I retweeted this morning about what happened in Germany when credits went away in Germany, despite Tesla introducing its own credit to kind of counter the effect. So in the note, it continues. Tesla also confirmed the low-cost model won't be its only new model in 2025. Separately, FSD adoption is increasing. As of Q1 2023, Tesla had 400,000 subscribers on 1.8 million eligible vehicles. That's not true. There's no way that's true. In Q2, they may have had 400,000 users, but hundreds of thousands of people purchased FSD in previous years. That's just a false statement. Oh, that's ridiculous. Wow, that's a really lousy mistake. This is why I don't read Southside analyst bullshit.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, right?
In Q2 2024 and Q3 2024, the number of subscribers grew faster than the number of eligible vehicles, implying that the adoption of FSD is picking up. Oh my gosh, that is really ridiculous. Recall Tesla had previously charged several thousand. What was this? Was it like an intern that fucking did this interview? Recall Tesla had previously charged several $1,000s upfront for FSD, but since changing to a subscription model, FSD adoption has grown more rapidly. Could be a good time to raise low-cost capital. The investment in robotaxis, robotics, notably Optimus and AI, will require significant capital. We expect Tesla to efficiently and effectively deploy capital, as the company has demonstrated with its focus on organic cash generation. That said, there could be a point at which it may make sense for it to raise capital to accelerate the development of these technologies. On that point, we'd note that Tesla has historically been able to raise capital at extremely low cost compared to its peers. whatever that means. Because how are they calculating? I guess the implied rate of return for the equity raise. What does that mean at a low cost? They've done mostly equity raises. At its current valuation, Tesla could raise $50 billion plus through an equity raise at a relatively modest 4 to 5% dilution. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. This is dilution rate. I don't know. I mean, all that says is the market cap was higher than its peers. So that doesn't really say much. Company description, investment rationale. Tesla has we view Tesla as a trailblazer in the EV market and believe it could be successful as EV demand increases over time. Tesla's self-funding status and ongoing access to relatively low-cost capital should also help support future growth. Tesla has revitalized the growth narrative with both commentary and results that work as a catalyst for the stock in the near term, such as the August robotaxi event. Oh my gosh, man, this is crazy. This is wild. All right. Third tweet. Third part. Now on your screens on YouTube. Motorhead says Tesla had $34 billion of cash and equivalents at Q3 end, but Bank of America sees only $19 billion for 2024 end. Maybe that's why Bank of America pushed the equity raise 2x in its report. Also saying short covering is upside catalyst for Tesla is absurd. It's only 0.6 times average daily volume. Messy report. Yeah, this is a really, I mean, how in the world this passes review is crazy. This is really crazy. I mean, I'm almost expecting the balance sheet to not balance right now. Holy fuck, it doesn't balance. Did you see that? Look at 2023. That is fucking crazy. This is wild. What the fuck? This note. Is this a fucking joke? Did you see the tweet? Look at this one. I'll pin it at the top, the third page. Look at 2023 balance sheet. Total asset 107 billion, and the total equity lives is 106.6. What the fuck? I was literally joking about that just now. I was like, I'm half Xing balance should not balance, and it literally doesn't balance.
Quality work over at Bank of America.
Oh my gosh, this is wild. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I mean, I don't have much respect for sell-side analysts, but this is an insanely erroneous report. I mean, it's almost like I'm more likely to believe that Motherhead made this up and posted instead of this being a Bank of America report that actually passed review, quality review. I mean, my reports were reviewed by a VP, and if they had any sort of like specific information that had to be reviewed by our regulation folks. I mean, we had to do many versions of these reports before we publish them. And if something wrong went out, it would be like the end of your time at that firm. This is kind of wild. Luce?
Sorry for the bad audio. Yaman, can you explain what is that you see like I am 5 years old?
I didn't hear the last three words.
Like I am 5 years old. Explain it like I'm a Rita.
Magic, did you hear that?
Yeah, he's saying just to explain, like he's 5 years old. But Luce, what do you want us to explain exactly? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is going on with this report?
So this report is a Bank of America sell-side analyst note that was published this morning. And Motorhead, who is a well-known bear in the Tesla community, he's been around for like the last decade, basically. I remember his replies and stuff, articles from Seeking Alpha days, and he published 3 pages out of this report with his commentary. Okay, and there are a number of mistakes, like errors, major errors. And we went through the list. I just wanted to see if there was anything that we haven't covered in there from their interview with the investor relations. And there are a number of factual errors in this, and then at the end, I was like joking. I'm half expecting the balance sheet to not balance, which is like, I've never seen that happen, except this time. It actually doesn't balance. If you look at 2023 column at the top, total assets 107,409 million. Total equity liabilities add up to 106,618 million. That is like that kind of error. Like all it takes to, like if I made an error like that ever, I've never have. Okay, I've made errors before in my life, obviously my investment banking career, but as an analyst, the kind of errors that I would get berated for were things like, man, I will never forget this, but so so you know how when you write a Microsoft Word document, there is this formatting type that says justified, which basically aligns two sides of the page on the same length, basically, by adjusting the spaces between words. Magic, do you know what I'm talking about? The justified formatting on Microsoft Word?
No, but I know that there's a lot of ton of issues with. I hated formatting in Microsoft Word. Yeah, I mean most of the issues in finance
Yeah.
are just formatting, right?
So basically, what that does is it adjusts the spacing between words. So no two space is the same exact length. And these are 80-page reports on companies, valuation reports. Okay, 80-page reports. My VP would read every single word. He would highlight every single, not even errors, but like kind of language changes that I had to make. And he would also spot if there are two spaces between two words, which is like nearly impossible to do because it's justified because every length varies. So like at page 56, he would say like there's two spaces here, and he would always be right. Okay. And for something like that, I don't remember exactly what it was, but something like that. I think my EBITDA calculation was wrong, but this was like outside the printable range. So it didn't even matter, okay, to the report at all. But he called me into the office on a Sunday morning and berated me in the conference room for a fucking hour on a Sunday morning for something that's not even in the printable range on the Excel spreadsheet. And if I ever made a mistake like this, where the balance sheet doesn't balance and the note goes out, I mean, I would have been fired on the spot. There's no way. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, this is a fireable offense for sure. Like this is really bad. Like you said, Wall Street and anybody in the finance world is probably the most OCD people about formatting and getting things
Exactly.
right. So,
Exactly. I mean, we would have like multiple hour meetings about whether our bullet points should be square or round, which kind of made me think like I got to get the fuck out of investment banking. But that's like that anal. So this is coming from the investment banking side, right? They're just trying to get Tesla to pick them for some sort of raise. I don't know, or something. Maybe they think there might be a raise, and they're like, we need to issue a favorable report and be on their good side. Is my guess.
yeah, that's kind of why I was saying that they're gunning for to be the ones to underwrite the equity capital raise. So they wrote this report.
I mean,
kind of hinted at
it can't be anything though. Like it doesn't have to be Tesla, which I don't think it's gonna be Tesla. That's why we had the coffee bet that we just made. You said there will be a equity raise in 2024. I don't think there will be equity raise, but it can be anything, right? It can be XAI. It can be, some loan for Elon or anything, right? Related to Elon. Is that right?
I was thinking Tesla's. I mean, yeah, we could just brought it out to everything. Yeah.
Okay, ACDC.
Yeah, so I definitely think that this is also related to Tesla itself. I mean, the guy is basically talking about stuff and justifying a lot of stuff. This guy knows less than probably the average listener of Tesla Live. in terms of the actual numbers, the fundamentals, the story, the potential, and everything. And there's a couple other things that he listed in terms of Optimus potential, totally skipping over robotaxi potential and everything. So we kind of talked about this a couple of days ago, right? That I mean, you were in the investment banking world, and you remember when they put the wall in between, and that was in 2002, right after the dot-com collapse, the Sarbanes-Oxley and everything. But that's just a front. That's just like, okay, this is how we settle. It's done. They're all still part of the same revenue stream, right? So all this still goes on, and this guy is hyping it to 400 because he wants to do the equity raise at 400, and that's how they get the deals.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I mean, let me see for a second. Give me 1 second. Of course, this was retweeted and reposted and shared by the Tesla Bull community. Bank of America analyst John Murphy has raised the Tesla price target to 400 from 350 while maintaining buy rating. He says Optimus will develop poised to accelerate. And this is the surface level nonsense that gets spread in the Tesla Bull community, which is really unfortunate. And is definitely one of the reasons why I'm short the stock. AC.
And so this Bank of America price target raise was literally retweeted.
Can I just say, can I just say for 1 second? There are people in YouTube live chat making fun of Magic, okay? About, were you an auditor in Enron? Were you, fraud auditor? Ha ha, funny. He is the person who literally brought it up in Tesla Live, while every other bull is sharing this note as if it's like the next Bible. And there are material errors, some of the errors I've never seen before in my life, and you would get fired at my firm for doing anything close to that, let alone your fucking balance sheet not balancing. That is insane. And literally nobody, well, that's a blanket statement, but go ahead, AC.
That's exactly what I was trying to say, is that everybody retweeted this analyst note, and then when who is that, Tony Saganucci, who comes up with $100 price target? Oh no, analysts are bad. Analysts don't know anything. We know the story. We know the fundamentals. We know the potential behind the scenes and everything. But now all of a sudden the analyst is great. This guy is like the greatest guy who knows everything, and his price target is all about everything. So it's just crazy. I think that's the thing that everybody misses with having such a bias towards being bullish. I mean, you got to look at everybody through the same lens, and you got to look at it objectively, and you got to read through it just like you're reading through it and finding material errors and omissions in this thing.
Yeah, I mean, these are factual errors. Anyway, I don't want to harp on this anymore, but thank you very much. And what else do you want to talk about? Any change in your views on Tesla, FSD, Optimus, NVIDIA, MicroStrategy, Rivian? Rivian is up quite a bit today. Did you see that?
I didn't see Rivian, but I saw MicroStrategy. I'm still waiting for someone to tell me the 3x correlation of the stock with Bitcoin. So that's definitely not there.
Yeah. 2 to 2.5. I mean, that's come down a little because Bitcoin went to all-time highs and MicroStrategy didn't. It's at 400 right now, and the high was 500. So it's still down like 20%. Whereas Bitcoin, so that gap we discussed between market cap and Bitcoin they hold has come down to about 2x now, which is what they're targeting, I think. Do you think there's going to be a market equity raise by the end of the year, like Magic is predicting?
Till today, I did not think of that, but one of the things that I did, and I think I shared that with you, from actually the Bank of America article, was so when I read, I'll read all sorts of analyst reports, but I'll never. The last thing I ever look at is ever a price target. Okay, I'll read like what they are seeing, and are they reporting on something that I don't know about. Okay, so one of the things that he pointed out was the cost of compute, and that will be required to go into Optimus. And that's when, linking that with equity raise, I think it does make sense. And that's something that you've been talking about. So I think it could happen. And this would be an ideal time to do it when the stock's at a new high.
I would be shocked if Tesla raised equity. But, you agree with Magic. I mean, they have more than $30 billion. The business is generating billions of dollars of free cash flow. I mean, I think the only way it makes sense if they expect a decline in the free cash flow. Do you think, do you expect that, Magic?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's. I understand that they have 30 billion in cash, but you got to back out the current liabilities, right? I think net cash is more important than just gross cash.
Well, if you're going to do that, you have to add in the current assets.
Yeah, but if you do, yeah, exactly. If you do that, then it's still way worse of a picture because the current liabilities are much higher. Yeah, I'll put something together and then I'll send it over to you.
Oh no, let's verify what you just said there. You say current liabilities are much higher than current assets. I mean, I guess if you exclude cash equivalents, and investments, your inventory is 14.5 billion. Prepaid expense and current assets are 5 billion. So you're looking at about a $20 billion. Let's say some of these prepaid expenses are just not, the 15 to $20 billion of current assets, excluding cash equivalents, and investments. Your current liabilities, AP 14, AL 10, 25. Okay, so if you exclude accrued, I mean, if you want to, I can definitely see an argument. Like, if I were you, I would say this. If Elon thinks there's a possibility of a recession in the near term, to protect against a scenario where your current asset, you may not be able to liquidate your current assets as quickly as you need to pay your accounts payable and accrued liabilities, then it makes sense to raise cash in order to support our training compute investments or investments in the AI. You don't have to go into specifics of it. Then I can kind of see it. But only if you think probability of recession is high in the near term, in the next 12 months, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, the way I'm looking at the balance sheet right now. Get current liabilities, accounts payable, and accrued liabilities is 24 billion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And cash plus short-term investments, you're right, it's about 30 billion. So it's like, is that's kind of how I look at it. I mean, inventory, it's way
Well,
harder.
on the cash side, you're definitely going to need at least $10 billion to run global operations efficiently, probably more than that at Tesla's level at this point. And so your excess cash is actually much lower than $34 billion.
Yeah, and I'm just backing out the current liabilities that are pretty much due, which is accounts payable and accrued liabilities other. I mean, not the long-term portion, not the current portion of the long-term, but just looking at those two, you should back that out of the cash and short-term investments. And then it doesn't show as strong of a cash position as people believe.
Okay. Let's see cash flow real quick. Adjusted EBITDA TTM, $15.7 billion in the last 12 months, non-GAAP. I think it's a close call. I mean, like in my mind, it's not a close call, but Elon's extremely conservative about these things. So maybe he will do a cash equity raise, and he can justify it with definitely with the cash needs of the company for investments into AI. And the stock price is high, as you said. I mean, I am short, so that kind of tells you there's probably, like, as far as I'm concerned, if you wanted to do a cash raise, then equity raise, then this is probably a better time than it was a year ago. How is that?
Yeah, and they were saying that, oh yeah, there's minimal dilution because 50 billion on a trillion is not that big of a deal. So if you're gonna raise 50 billion, right now is the time to do it, right? So
Free cash flow in Q3, 2.7 billion. In Q2, 1.3, so that's 4. In Q1, negative 2.5, so that's 1.5 plus. In Q4 was 2, so 3.5. That's actually lower than I thought. I thought it was more around 5. But they've been investing heavily in AI. Okay. Very interesting. Man, if you win this coffee bet, I will be ashamed. I will eat crow for sure. If they raise equity capital by the end of the year, I should not lose a coffee bet like that.
yeah, I mean, just look. I mean, just you're seeing it, right? It's just not as strong on a solvency basis than people think, right? So that's solvency, like liquidity. So that's why I'm like, all right, it would make a lot of sense for them to raise equity capital, and they're hinting it in the equity report quite strongly, right?
Well, the report just talks about Bank of America's opinion. Doesn't say anything about what Tesla investor relations team said about capital raise.
Yeah, that's correct. I think it was just mentioned probably 5 times throughout the report, which seemed a little odd to me.
In a positive piece of opinion too.
Yeah. Okay. Jay Warren in YouTube live chat says, question: Tesla has never traded based on fundamental valuation metrics. What time frame do you believe the repricing based on fundamentals will occur? I mean, it may never occur. It may never occur. I mean, if there's a recession, obviously that would happen pretty quickly. But literally no stock, including Tesla, trades always at what the fundamentals would deem it should trade at. And but in portfolio management, which is what I'm trying to get back to, is you have fundamental analysis, intrinsic value estimates for each company, and you take positions on various companies based on where they trade, whether higher or lower, and you adjust your positions as even other stocks change. So let's say, for example, Tesla stock remained here, but the intrinsic value of the company continued to increase over the coming years, because they're executing so well on Cybertruck for 680s, and recession probability has decreased, and rates have come down, and sales have increased. Then I would maybe close my position and instead open a short position in something else that saw an increase in stock price, but not improving fundamentals during that time period. So it's just a matter of portfolio management rather than, I would think it's going to get to 200, in the next 3 months. Like, I'm not making that kind of prediction. I'm just saying, I think the company's intrinsic value today is about $200 a share, $600 billion market cap. And right now it's trading at double that. So that's why I think a 50% decline is, possible. So, that's the kind of thinking behind it. I should probably get some long positions. Right now I only have short positions, so that's a bit of a risk I'm taking because of my macro call. ACDC, do you have any long positions? What's kind of like aside from Tesla?
Yeah, definitely.
Would you like to share what they are?
I can start with some recent buys, and this is strictly not financial advice. So this is, based on every individual client, and these are just their equity positions. So they have a lot of other diversified assets among equity, non-equity holdings, including cash and everything too. So on the equity side, CRM is one of the bigger positions right now. I shared Costco's been a long time larger position. I've FlowServe FLS is one that I bought earlier this year. Molson Brewery TAP, that's another one. I've built up a position in UiPath. Also on the technology side, that's probably one of the more aggressive, but it's a smaller position. And the others are a lot of some oil and energy ones. I have a very, very big position on the utility ETF, which I've held and kept increasing, XLU, for quite some time. So it's a whole bag. And tech, I've basically been reducing. In fact, I kind of pulled the trigger a little bit too soon on CRM. I didn't expect them to jump up this much with their most recent report. So last time it was at 342, I sold half positions, which I'm fine with. I can never time it with the top, but I'd rather, be prudent in my risk management and take the gains than really, risk it all. So it's only half a position pair on that. And I just think the markets are, and that's why CRM went up, because everything is being looked at with rosy pink glasses right now. And that's the same thing with Tesla. And I think that's where the repricing occurs.
Let me just based on that note, what you just said, everything is being looked at in rosy glasses. GameStop, before I go to Magic, because I see Magic what you posted stuff. GameStop just surged 10% because Roaring Kitty posted a meme with a Time magazine. I just retweeted, so you can see it on my profile if you want. Roaring Kitty just tweeted 13 minutes ago, and GameStop up 10% just based on that, which is incredible. But talk about these times, man, that's incredible. ACDC, I'm going to get back to you after Magic. If you could please select maybe 3 of them that you believe are most undervalued, if you like, as to the extent that you want to share any of them. I don't expect you to share anything. But 3 undervalued companies, maybe I can take a look at them because I am looking for some long positions to kind of hedge this market risk a little bit. Magic.
Hey, so I pinned to the top of the screen pretty much the history of sell side reports. This is specific to Adam Jonas, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bank of America does something similar to try to win business. But there's a timeline of some sell side research on Tesla and equity and debt raises. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not a big believer in coincidences, especially if it happens over and over again. But this is kind of a pretty strong evidence that there's a raise, and then shortly after there's some sort of debt or equity offer raise pretty shortly after.
Yeah, it's possible. Okay, can you also do? I thought what you posted was different. I thought you posted. Oh man, that is fucking crazy. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks like collusion to me, but that's just an allegation, right? So I don't know. You can decide on whether this was done independently. But it seems very, very, very much of a coincidence, and very much like in collusion.
These things. It is what it is. Okay. All right. I see Yashu. If he wants to come up to speak, well, he's welcome. And we can talk about this Bank of America note again if you guys want, or ACDC. So what are these 3 stocks that you selected?
All right, so I think I posted this to, I don't know, I think I was replying to Luce in one of the posts, and I said that at a time like this, my job is literally the hardest, okay? Because it's so hard to find something that's at a good valuation and has a good story and where I can still find some potential to run up while still protecting the downside, right? So the 3 names that I'd give to you, 2 of them I've built positions on just recently. One is Pure Storage. They just came out with their earnings day before, PSTG. If you recall, on Monday, I asked Robert this question on AI Amateurs about divesting hard disk storage for data clusters to flash. That's exactly what Pure Storage does, and that's the confirmation that I was trying to get and everything. So they came out with great earnings. I think it still has a little room to run, so I'm holding on to that. The second one is PAT, UiPath. Be very careful. They are coming out with their earnings today, so it can literally trade either which way. But I think on the longer path, no pun intended, this is a good story of back-end AI automation for redundant tasks and everything. So that's the second one. And the third one, what I'll say is I'm just starting to look at it. I haven't built a position on it, but it's Qualcomm. I think it's a decent valuation. That's a stock that I've traded many, many times. And when it comes up to this valuation, it always gets attractive.
Very interesting. I think I read an article about Qualcomm earlier this year. Interesting. Okay, can you give me the tickers of the other 2?
Pure Storage is P as in Peter, S as in Sam, T as in Tom, G as in Gary.
Okay, and the second one?
UiPath is P as in Peter, A, T as in Tom, H as in Harry.
Okay. And then 3 is Qualcomm. Okay, I'll take a look at these. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And maybe we can have a discussion later too.
And some of these things have done phenomenally well. 6 months ago, I remember I was having this, I brought this up, but this was when like the Tesla Live was just all Tesla, Tesla, Tesla. And we were kind of talking about data, we were kind of talking about AI, and I talked about some of these networking companies or network switching companies, okay? And I brought up ANET, okay? You look at that company, that has doubled literally in 6 months, okay? ANET, HPE, and Cisco, they've done really well. These are companies, kind of like Pure Storage, that are aiding to the hyperclusters, hyperscalers, I'm sorry, you know, which are still going on. I mean, that's something that's not slowing down. So they're supplying this infrastructure to these hyperscalers and stuff. And another great story, it's just that it didn't fit me, but it was brought up when in Tesla Live was Palantir. When you had the guy who worked for Palantir, I remember, he came on and boy, he had a really, really, really compelling story and really good guy and really smart guy. It's just that was just out of my valuation. But if somebody is out there looking at it, look at what Palantir has done in the meantime.
Yeah. Palantir continues to go up. Obviously, it's one of the biggest beneficiaries of Trump's election. And just as like Tesla, SpaceX as well. And Palantir has a really strong retail following as well. But on the other hand, just traditional value metrics is just kind of really out there. And the CEO has been selling an insane amount of stock, even like half the price that it is today. And other people have been selling lots of stock as well. So that's always a red flag for me. All right. Do you have any views? Oh, Magic, go ahead.
Yeah, really quick. Just wanted to bring up. I don't know if you guys it's been brought up, but Robin Denholm, the chairperson of the board, sold a bunch of stock recently. Not sure if you guys covered that.
Yeah, I tweeted about it. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to cover. Like, what are you gonna say?
I think it was like 40% of her holdings. I think it's
Oh,
substantial.
really?
Yeah.
I'm sure she has more stock options coming on the way. I really enjoy this space. Like, I really enjoy. This is back to the old days of Tesla Live, where it was only just a few people, and we can take our time, dig into things, and we have a diversity of opinions more than ever. I think we can cover different stocks. I really enjoy the kind of turnover sometimes on the speaker board as well. It just brings in more fresh voices throughout the years. So thank you very much for everybody for being here. ACDC, go ahead.
So I'll second that. In fact, that was going to be the talk that I kind of wanted to have with you as just a mere suggestion that, when you're just talking about Tesla for an hour, 2 hours, like back in April, we were going 4 hours, right? There's only so much you can talk about it, and it's like beating a dead horse almost after a while, right? So, I mean, I get it. There's a lot of interest in it, but I just want people to kind of broaden their mind a little bit, look at different investments. And I think adding that to your space would be a good addition. Maybe just, have people like contribute, or come up with one name that they're curious about, bring it up to you, and then you break that down every week or so on, where you kind of like do a deep dive into one specific stock that somebody brought up to you, and you give your opinion on a fundamental basis and so on forth, and everybody kind of chimes in.
Yeah, I have kind of shied away from that in the past in this space, but also on Seeking Alpha and other platforms, because you just never know why people are bringing up a specific stock. And I mean, when I was at Seeking Alpha, I used to get these DMs from hedge funds. Why don't you talk about this stock? Why don't you talk about this stock? It says they're clearly just kind of pitching their book, and I would just take them and send them to the editors, and they would take care of it. But yeah, so I don't want to. I probably don't want to do that. But I only, I respect your opinion, and you've been around for a long time. I don't think you're trying to pump up a stock or anything like that. So I feel more comfortable talking about it with you than somebody I've never heard about, from. All right. Nvidia is a heavily traded stock today, as well as Tesla, even though Nvidia is kind of flat, which is really interesting. $145 per share. Tesla is right now $369 per share. Magic says there will be a capital raise by the end of the year. We just made a coffee bet. Anything else? We don't have to go too long. We can wrap it up if there's nothing else. What about MicroStrategy Bitcoin? ACDC, any updated views?
No updated views. I'm just baffled at the lack of correlation. If not, I would think that MicroStrategy should have had their best day, hitting a new high today with Bitcoin finally reaching. I mean, this is exactly what these guys were talking about. This 100,000 was, the holy grail of where they wanted to be. And, it's like MicroStrategy's fizzled right into it.
Yeah. And Bitcoin coming down a little bit too. Magic, would you ever short MicroStrategy?
No way. Never
Why?
touching that. Because the reason I'm shorting Tesla is because I understand the auto business and I understand kind of what's going on. There's nothing you can point to for Bitcoin. It can run your face over. So and same with Palantir. I was telling you, I was like, look, I wouldn't short that thing. I think it's a bubble, but it's too hard to determine where it ends. I mean, it's too big of a narrative.
I don't know. If you're not gonna short bubbles, like what the hell are you gonna short?
Yeah, no, I agree, but at least I know with Tesla there is the automotive standpoint. I'm like, okay, I know that how an automotive stock works. I don't even know what to classify Palantir or MicroStrategy. They're just new creatures, and I wouldn't step in front of it.
I mean, MicroStrategy is basically a leverage play on Bitcoin, and you know how Bitcoin trades.
Yeah, well, it trades with liquidity in the Nasdaq, right? Pretty much, it's a high correlation to the Nasdaq. So yeah, but I mean, you can do it, but I don't know. I wouldn't step in front of a lot of people very excited to do it. So I don't know. That one's tough.
ACDC.
I don't know if you know this, but I mean, I follow Bitcoin passively, right? And of course, it's in front and center right now, so you can't ignore it. But is there a volume of Bitcoin? You know, like how we see a trading volume on all stocks and everything after hours trading volume, you know, during trading hours. Is there a volume that we can see of like what Bitcoins are trading at different time frames and of when the price movement is occurring?
Yeah, I think there is. And I mean, that's the whole thing about Bitcoin, right? Everything's kind of transparent. And I also see tweets every now and then about this much Bitcoin was liquidated today, kind of thing. And I mean, also you can also look at volume of stocks or ETFs that are tracking Bitcoin as well. There's a lot of different measures of it, obviously.
But those stocks and ETFs can't trade except for that extended window after hours, right? Bitcoin trades 24/7.
Right. Yeah, I also couldn't tell you exactly what the volume of Bitcoin today is, but I'm sure there's a way to see it if you want to look into it. But I mean, yesterday, I saw a live stream on X being watched by 8 million people to see if Bitcoin was going to get to 100,000. 8 million viewers on X watching a Bitcoin chart go up and down. And if you kind of scroll through the replies, people are like, let's make it happen. Let's go. Come on, everybody, kind of stuff, you know? So that kind of goes to Magic's point earlier. I just think it's a really interesting phenomenon. And I love one of the great things about the stock market is that you get to live these things live, you know? It's just an incredible human psychology, social psychology, you know, class happening live. Any views on macro? Initial claims came in at 224,000 today, more than the expected 213,000, more than the prior 215,000, but the continuing claims for unemployment benefits ticked down a little bit, 1.871 million, down from 1.9 million. Any views on that?
Yeah, I don't think on the jobs front, it's looking too good. Plus, whatever numbers you see, they're just not the same as it used to be with all the revisions we get. So we may actually start getting some really big revisions here in the next coming months with a change in the administration and all that. So there's a lot of data points that I'm actually kind of wary about. So I mean, there's nothing in the macro side that is really on the positive to me. Except for the fact that, yeah, the Fed should cut more rates, but then you've also had, you know, an uptick in CPI. So,
well, the GDP now is actually revised upward. So GDP now by the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, like the current measures of economic growth are very positive. 3.3% as of December 5. It's been increasing in the last couple of weeks here. It started out at just above 2%. Now it's 3.3%. So it's being revised up. Atlanta Fed GDP now estimate. So Q4 GDP will be very positive. I mean, this is real growth, seasonally adjusted rate of real growth. So that's positive on the economic front. Inflation is coming down. That's positive for the economic on the economic front. Unemployment ticked up, but it seems to have stabilized right around 4% unemployment rate. The initial weekly claims, to your point, initial weekly claims do not get revised, as far as I know, or they get revised very slightly, if ever. So that's a very good way of looking at the employment market at the current time. So that's not signaling any sort of huge increase anytime soon. And then with the stock market breaking records, I think you're going to see a bit of a wealth effect as well, especially if Bitcoin prices rise. I mean, tens of millions of people in the US alone hold Bitcoin. So they're seeing their portfolios increase quite a bit. So you're going to get a little bit of wealth effect as well. So those are positives on the economic front. Anything else you want to say?
I agree. Bitcoin has definitely been a big player in the wealth effect. In fact, every time the market goes in sync with Bitcoin, I trust the market that much less. And but in talking back, I mean, going back on GDP, if you look at the estimates for next year, most of the estimates are coming around like 2.5%.
Even next year? Well, those are
Right.
analyst estimates. It's just analyst
Right.
estimates. I mean,
Economics.
remember, 100% of economics expected a recession in 2022. Sorry, 2023. 100% of economics expected a recession in 2023, and we had accelerating growth rate, which is amazing. Job openings also increased quite a bit in October, up from 7.4 million to 7.74 million. So it's a big increase, about 5% increase. The only negatives that really are on the manufacturing side. The November ISM manufacturing index came in at 48.4%, signaling more contraction on manufacturing. S&P Global US Manufacturing PMI also was below 50. But that's manufacturing in the US is less, it's like what, 10% of the economy. The rest of it is kind of services and trade. Services are a much bigger part of it, obviously. Services S&P Global PMI came in at 56.1 for November. So that's very positive for the economy. That's part of the reason probably the GDP now was revised upward. ISM non-manufacturing index also came in at 52.1, above 50. What else? The only negative that was really on the economic front this week was ADP employment change for November came in at 146,000, lower than the expected 170,000. And ADP is obviously not as important as the non-farm payrolls. They're different measures slightly, but people care more about the non-farm payrolls because we get a lot more data. So tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, we're going to get the non-farm payroll numbers, non-farm private payroll numbers. This is for November, as well as average hourly earnings, unemployment rate, average work week, and University of Michigan consumer sentiment preliminary and consumer credit data for October. So tomorrow morning, we're going to first read for December, University of Michigan consumer sentiment, and then we're going to get the employment numbers for November. These are very important numbers. I mean, well, let's see if anything negative comes out of that. But the economy seems to be doing all right. You know, people expect. I mean, people came in here, Tesla Live, and one of the people who kind of focused on macro predicted that we were already in a recession in Q3, and said that it's going to be apparent by the end. And so we made a coffee bet. I never collected on a coffee bet. I probably should. So the economy is doing fine in Q4. With the stock market rising so fast, I wouldn't really expect a slowdown in the next few weeks. But 2025 is another story. So we'll see. Construction spending is also up. Real estate is weakening, though. Real estate market is weakening. And there's some cracks in the real estate market. Magic?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think I saw recently that residential housing levels are kind of back to 2019 supply levels. Need to verify that, but wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot more supply than previously was.
Yeah, just under.
Thought.
Yeah, exactly. Just under. Yeah, but it's rising.
So, yeah, and then the next point would be I think, yeah, GDP is up, but you have to kind of look at what's driving GDP. I think the government's spending a lot of money. So GDP is positive mainly because of fiscal government spending, then that's not necessarily super productive, right? So, and if we were to cut that government spending, what would happen to GDP? I think it's just important, you can't just look at GDP, you gotta look at what's driving GDP, right? So just looking at the GDP number, I don't think it's sufficient. You have to look at what's driving it and what can potentially change. If Trump is saying he's going to cut government spending,
they're not going to cut spending.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe so either. But
2025 spending will be higher than 2024, and 2026 will be higher than 2025. And all that $2 trillion cut, I think I think they're going to attempt it, but I think they're going to find it very difficult to pass it through Congress, despite the fact that Republicans control the White House, the Senate, and the House. I think it's going to be very difficult because each one of those people have to go back to their constituents and explain why they're cutting Social Security or defense spending or etc. So I hope they do. I mean, I hope they succeed. I hope they succeed. I think it's a problem for the country, but I think it's less likely than not.
Yeah, I agree. I think they should, but the problem is, can they? And if they do cut government spending, what happens to GDP, right? So, and like you said, it has to go through Congress and a lot of issues. So it's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah. All right. For those of you who just joined us, I highly recommend reading. Magic, can you post that again? I removed it earlier. We had a discussion about the Bank of America analyst note today. There are some absurd errors, factual errors in this report. I highly recommend listen from the beginning of this space, the first half hour, to kind of get a gauge to understand why these sell-side analysts are just complete BS. And we go line by line and discuss the Bank of America analyst report that came out today that increased the price target and just make some really factual wrong statements. And then Magic also shared some correlation between analyst upgrades and capital raises. Magic predicted an equity raise by the end of this year. So we have a coffee bet. I don't think that's going to happen. But we talked about Tesla's cash balance, current account balance, current liabilities, and kind of walk through that as well. I highly recommend reading this post, the thread at the top, and listening from the beginning of the space. Thank you very much, everybody. And I will chat with you all next time. Take care.